Recording.
Boker Tov. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yes,
Good morning. I'm
here I am. Hineni.
Celine. Great to see you and Moshe.
Yeah.
And very soon, uh, Hanoch is coming in from Israel, from uh, uh, Jerusalem, and I'm coming in from another planet, as you know. You have to be another planet to really delve in to some of this beautiful poetry that going through it early this morning, I must say that I've uncovered more insights, more knowledge about uh, getting closer to the spiritual force, understanding what it is that King David is trying to illustrate to us in this beautiful poem. Okay, and
Richard,
yes,
may I ask a question?
sure.
I something that probably escaped me. Um, what is the reason you said last time that you chose this specific psalm to deal with now, number 19? Why,
Okay.
why, why, why did you choose
Good
it at all, and
question.
why now?
The reason I chose it is quite frankly, um, I do attend along with Helene and Chanok, who'll be on shortly, I hope, the services on Sabbath at Aguda Shalom, okay? And in the Sabbath prayer book, which I
Yes.
have here, you can probably see it. I'll put it in front of the screen. This prayer book, there are Psalms that are specifically chosen by I guess it was Ezra going back to the 70 scholars that determined
Mm,
what was going to be in the tefillah. And
yes.
Psalm 19 is one of them that really stood out um, because it illustrates the majesty of God and the potential for man to reach the spiritual level beyond the everyday, okay, which is what the Sabbath is all about. Sabbath
Okay.
is basically, it's a moment in time where you can reach out and you're in an oasis of peace and calm. And uh, and I grew up in a family which really made the Sabbath a very special place of majesty for me. My parents were very prominent leaders in the community. And my father did work on the Sabbath because he was a doctor, and I resented that, of course, because we had to go to synagogue. But um, the Sabbath evening meal was a very special. My parents always had their home open to members of the community, and they were chosen because of them as the Jewish Family of the Year back in the 60s. So there were five synagogues in our town, and my parents reached out to all of the different synagogues, and they're very active in the community. Um, and so when I came across this poem recently, it just spoke to me. It just made me feel that I had to find out why it was so special and why I wanted to be a part of it. And and that's it, basically it. There are 145 different Psalms that we uh, have to look at, and why the rabbis chose maybe 8 or 9 Psalms to include in the Sabbath morning service is beyond me. I mean, they have a greater understanding of what the meaning. But to me, these Psalms are chosen because it's the opportunity for man, whatever level you're at, to reach a higher level of understanding and to model your life after a morality against to model to shall we say reach out to a higher level of existence, which I think it begins. This poem is so significant because it begins with the majesty of God in the universe. Looking at the universe and seeing the way the planets operate on the higher level, the Shemayim and the Rakia, and how the lower level, which is the Rakia, operates to give us the daily weather that we have, the sunshine, etc. That's one level of understanding the spirituality of a higher being, okay? But that's just the entrance. That's what I call the portal. So you have the portal, which is the first 7 lines of this poem, is basically the portal to a higher divinity, which all the great poets that I studied at Columbia, beginning with Chaucer and Milton and Shakespeare, and the more modern poets, you had John Donne. They all were realized that there was this greater force, and poetry is the way that you connect to it because I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, poetry is meant to be sung. All these psalms that 145 were sung. Composer, it begins with the composer, Matzech Mizmor LeDavid. There's a great composer, and of course, the ultimate composer is the great force that established the universe that we take for granted. I mean, sun rises, like Hemingway said, the sun also rises. We take that for granted. The sun rises in the morning, at night it sets. We have the evening sky with the beautiful planets that are revolving around the sun. And then in the morning you have the sunrise, and this is something that we take for granted. But all the great poets, especially the romantics, Wadsworth and Longfellow, Edgar Allan Poe was another one. They all were transcendentalists. They saw in through nature there was a higher being, and so they didn't necessarily believe in a God as a human figure, but they believed that there was something greater out there. And of course, Wallace Stevens in the modern era is somebody that has taken here. Here comes Chanok. Okay, that's good. Let's let him in. Chanok, you're there. Chanok, do you hear me? He's connecting. Okay. I know he's been trying to get on. Matter of fact, Chanok woke me up. Yeah, I have unusual hours, and I set my alarm clock to wake up, and Chanok woke me up along with he says, "Oh, I'm trying to get in, Richard. I'm trying to get in." Okay, so Chanok, are you there? Can you hear me? Chanok, you have to unmute yourself.
He's listed as one of the participants. So
yeah, he's there. I see him on his iPhone. Okay, he's there. We assume he's there. Mike, I hope that kind of explains a little bit about, because this poem is just when I went and reviewed it this morning about 4 a.m. I saw, my gosh, this is what I think all spirituality begins with the first 7 lines. So the first 7 lines, the poem is God's majesty, and we'll go over the Hebrew, translate it into English. The next approximately 6 lines are, well, God is transcendent in a world above, and if you live in nature, you're living in nature. You're not living with man to man. So how do we get along with man to man? Well, God created a manual. It's a manual. It's a grid, if you will. It is it's a plan, a master plan for connecting to humanity. Okay, and that's not enough. And then the last 3 lines are a special prayer to God, because the poet David knows that he'll continue to sin. He was a sinner. He was the basest of sinners, and he was the most incredible returners to God. He did tremendous tshuva. That's the reason that he is considered the king, the king of kings, and other religions have borrowed him and taken him to their different level. So that's basically it. So it's a three-part poem. Okay, so why don't we begin, Helene? Why don't you start off? I put it on the screen. Do you guys have it on the screen? Screensaver?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Helene, why don't you start off Hebrew, English, whatever you want to do. Okay, let me go back to I'm in Proverbs here. I'm terribly sorry.
No, you are
no,
showing the right thing, just
no, here.
not the right verse.
Okay, I was showing another verse which I want to come to because the Proverbs
Yes.
is a beautiful proverb that ties into what David is trying to say. So actually the first line is I'll say it basically because it's so short. For the leader, a psalm of David, Natseach, Natseach means forever, eternity, and Mizmor means like a song or a psalm of David. So this is for the leader. Okay, now there's a conductor. During the times of the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, there was a conductor, and this is meant to be sung. Okay, so it's a beautiful song. Okay, so Helene, why don't you start with number 2, the heavens, Hebrew or English? Helene, are you there? All right, looks like she left.
She's not.
Yeah, she left for a while. Okay, so Moshe, you and then
Okay, I'll do Hebrew. השמיים מספרים כבוד אל, ומעשה ידיו מגיד הרקיע.
Okay.
The heavens declare the glory of God.
Good.
The sky proclaims his handiwork.
Yeah, yes, his handiwork. That's perfect. Yeah, that's pretty literal. Any comments that you want to make, Moshe, before I make a general observation? Please do. I mean, don't hesitate to interrupt me. Go ahead.
No, there is nothing beyond what literally it means.
Well, it's metaphoric in the sense,
Yes.
literal is one level, but it's metaphoric in the sense that the skies are mute, okay, and man is attuned to a higher level. You don't hear the stars, you don't hear the planets rotating, you don't actually see a hand of God. So this is all metaphor, okay, and the Shamayim refers to the planetary sphere, okay, the planets rotating, the constellations, the worlds, the beginning of mankind 4.5 billion years ago. And the Rakia refers to the lower level, which is where we have the precipitation, where we have beautiful clouds and you have snow and sleet, and so that's the closest level to man. And what he's saying here is that the skies and the constellations speak to us in their own way. Now, in the medieval times, there was this concept of the music of the spheres, that poems that were written particularly during the time of Milton, John Donne, they really believed, and this is going back to Pythagoras. Pythagoras came up with the idea that there's this harmony, a symphony that he was a great mathematician, that he saw and felt from a higher level. So that's where we come with this idea that there's a music, there is a language, misaprim, that man is a silent listener. And if you turn off all of the distractions of humanity, whether it's TV or your cell phones or whatever, you give your mind a chance to tune other levels of being, and I think that's what they're saying here. And the morning prayers have the idea that Yeah, there are a number of times in the morning prayers, shacharit, where they say that the we should declare and misaprim lagayim kvodo, that we should declare the praise, the honor of a higher being to all the nations. Okay, not so much the goyim, but all the nations. Any person who is a human, they're part of the nation of man. So that's what he's saying here. And it's beautiful metaphoric language. Okay. All right. Now, Helene, you're back. Okay, Helene. So we called on you. Would you do number 3? Helene, English or Hebrew?
Yeah. I wonder, is it on here?
Yeah, it should be on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to open it up.
Okay.
I'll even do it without glasses, but I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I saw it. Oh, yeah. Is this for the leader? Come on.
Yeah. You're there. You're there. Okay, you're going to do.
I'm trying to open it.
You're doing number 3,
For
dear.
the leader, a psalm of David. The heaven declare the glory of God.
Next one, Helen.
Next one.
Helene, hear me. Helene, can you hear me?
Yes, I certainly do.
Okay, so you're going to do number 3. Okay, 1, 2. You see where my pointer is?
3. Okay.
Here, 3 here. Yeah.
Yom LaYom. You know, the print is a little, a little small.
Move it to the right. Move the screen to the right.
Afar, Lila, Yehuda, Dashan. I guess I really need my glasses.
Okay.
Day.
Can you read the English?
Yeah, that's a little clearer if it comes. So where did it disappear?
Here, I'm pointing to it here, the English.
Yeah, no, but it's not on my screen. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
You know, I grew up without electricity and I do all this.
Helene, we're glad that you're here.
Parents' night, tonight speaks out. That's
Okay.
number.
Okay.
I'm sorry for the delay.
So we have, and please interrupt me if you raise your hand if you want to. What he's basically saying here is day to day, daylight to daylight, okay? The heavens declare, they're uttering. The word yabia means to actually utter. Now, we know that day does not speak, nor does night speak out. But what he's saying here is that we are attuned to a higher force that creates these beautiful motions of the universe, that creates the sun. Every day, the sun rises, the sun also sets, okay? And that declares some type of higher force. We don't know what winds up the sun to keep going for billions of years, but we take it for granted. And the night turns into a beautiful sky. And the night, Yechave, now I came up with an idea here. Yechave, the word, the root of the word is to be, okay? And the name of the first woman was Chava, okay? And Chava.
No, Richard, it has nothing to do with this.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, Yechave for you in free translation, it means Yechave, it will say, it will pronounce.
It will become.
It will pronounce. It's like
well, it says in English, speaks out.
It speaks out. Okay. All right. So, I mean, I'm a little bit off there. I try to come up with some type of an insight, which I'll develop a little bit later. Okay. So basically it's, the idea that, we have the cycles of the universe, and if you're attuned to it, you see that there's a beautiful harmony. It's a symphony, the symphony of the stars. You've heard that expression, and there is a symphony here. Okay. All right. So now we are with Chanok. You're doing number 4, Chanok. Vakasha.
Okay. אין אומר ואין דברים בלי נשמע קולם.
All right. Pretty straightforward, right? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it means they say it means he says that the day and the night they are not talking. They are what the metaphor of what they are saying is mute without any verbal pronunciation.
yeah, I
It
mean,
means it is
yeah.
it is done silently.
Yeah, yeah, they're silent, but yet,
Yeah.
we're attuned to them in our own way. Everybody's attuned. You look up at a beautiful sky, you look up at a gorgeous day, which we don't have today. It's very gray. But you look up at it and you say, well, it's kind of like a sad day. I mean, you respond to it in some type of a way. Um, but they literally, the stars and the moon and the weather is not really speaking to you literally, but you're responding to it. Okay.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Rich, in my profession, all these words don't always mean something. It's the body language. And I sort of relate to this in that sense because no matter what, you don't need the words. It's the whole atmosphere that sort of goes unheard, but yet it has a lot of meaning, a lot of depth, a lot of insight.
Beautiful
So
insight.
over the words.
I think your profession, more than anything else, you can take a look at someone's face and the eyes and the makeup, and you get a sense of where that person is
Oh yeah.
psychologically. Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah, I think that's basically that's the in the poems of David, he talks a lot about the earth as being a footstool to God's heaven. Okay, so the earth
Not
is.
what you say, it's what you do. That's
Well,
theory.
yeah, sure, that's it. It's not what you, and we're coming to that. It's not how you respond to this. It's how you respond and take this and relate it to your fellow man. That's this is a portal. The weather and everything else. Some people say, "Gorgeous day, I feel good." But it's a portal to how you act to your fellow man. You are. It's how you relate to people and care about people. If you care about if God cares about His universe and makes it so precise, well, maybe I should care about my fellow man. You're a psychologist, social worker, so you feel the same way about your clients. Okay. And I feel that way about, and Moshe, if Moshe is a teacher, you feel that way about your students, that you want to convey to them what you feel. And King David is feeling something very special here that he wants us to feel as well. Now, it gets very complicated with the next one. So we are back to Moshe. You want to tackle this one because I'm telling you, there's a lot of parish here,
Yes.
which I will help out with, and you guys can help me out.
Yes.
Go ahead. We're into number 5. Yeah.
בכל הארץ יצא קום.
יצא קבם.
Kavam.
אוקיי. ובקצה תבל מיליהם לשמש שם אוהל בהם.
Okay, so
their voice carries throughout the earth, their words to the end of the world. He placed in them a tent for the sun.
Okay, and one of the reasons I go with the Safaria translation is because it's very, very basic. I mean, it is the Peshat, as we say. It really does not delve. I'm using a Sansino Press book that my mom taught Tehillim many years to in the synagogue. We grew up in Westchester, and so I'm using her translation. But the idea here is that there is a kavam. Kavam refers to a line, okay? And I'm using ArtScroll to their translation. So he's saying there is an architect or somebody who measures property you measure with some type of a line, a measuring line. Okay, so the metaphor here is that there is this metaphorical line that goes through the earth. Okay, it's getting a little bit metaphysical here, I imagine, and it reaches from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. Okay, that's the earth that we know. Okay, that's
Of the world, it says here.
but yeah, I mean, bechol haaretz. So we're looking at land as opposed to hot sky or rakia or shemayim. Okay, so he's talking about the earth. Okay, and the earth, the words of the earth. Okay, milehem. The words reach the farthest ends. Okay, so what we as human beings are exposed to down here, we can basically react to not just our own little sphere, but we know that the sky is moving, and in a sense we are measuring ourselves the utterances or the communications that we get from a higher level. Okay, and to continue the metaphor, that God has set up a tent. Okay, you have this. You can imagine that you have the sun, and then right below the sun, this is the way I imagine it. Chanok may take it a different direction, but you have the sun, and we know that if you're exposed directly to the sun rays, you can really get burned. Okay, if you're out in the sun, Herzliya, wherever you're at during the hot summer months, and you don't put any protection, you can get burnt up. Okay, so in a sense, God has created the sun. Okay, it's a constellation, and there's a tent that kind of arches below that, and that protects us from the harsh rays of the sun. Okay, and the idea is that there is a precision of the universe that's likened metaphorically to a surveyor's tape. Okay, again, the surveyor taping, measuring land down here as we know it, stretched out to the ends of the earth, so that man is attuned to what's going on down here. That's what he's saying. Okay, and
Richard,
yeah,
may I give one note?
yeah,
Don't forget, all of you, that the whole description of the universe in those days is not what we think. It means in the description of universe until Galileo Galilei, the Earth, our planet, is the center of the cosmos. And around us, everything is circling, both the sun and the moon and all the stars. So in this way, we are the center. And the second important thing is the sun. And then all the screen in the horizon of all the stars, what we see is like a tent, is like like a kind of a big cover of the sun. But it has nothing to do with what we know. Even all the rabbis until the time of Galileo also believed that Galileo is a infidel.
Yeah, I mean, and you make a very important statement, which David discusses here. That puts man at the center of the universe. So man, as you're describing beautifully, Hanoch, hey, God created this land, the universe for me. Okay, I am the center. Without his sun up there, and the constellations, and the star, and the change of weathers, and the healing and the generating force of the sun to create food as we know it, so we can stay alive. Without that, there would be no man. Okay, so you've got two forces here. You've got God creating this masterpiece. Like you say, pre-Galileo, we are the center. Created for us. That's what David is saying here. Is that you can get very carried away and get very egotistical, okay, and that's where a lot of people go wrong, okay, and that's in part of this poem. It's a very complicated poem, and you're hitting on it, and that's the idea that God's great. God created this for who? for me. Okay. So if you take it that way, so it's me. It's every man for himself. You want to take that philosophy, it's every man for himself. You know, the hell with you, and I'll do whatever I have to do, and I don't care what, but you know, he created it for me. So, and we have to deal with that in this poem. Okay. So that's one level here. The level is egotism and it's meanness. And it's this great universe created for me. Okay. You can get lost there. If you're like David before he becomes king, what is he? He is a lonely shepherd. We know that. He's a runt of the family. And he only knows his sheep. He knows grazing. He knows he lives in a tent, but he doesn't live with mankind. Okay, so you know he's taken with this beautiful universe that he's been given. And all of a sudden he's called by Samuel. Hey, isn't there anybody else here that in this family beside all these brothers? Come on, Yishai, you're holding back somebody from me. So, and then they get David, and of course we know what happens. That Samuel confers the anointing of David. David is going to be the king, this little runt, okay? So he goes from, he's the center of his own little universe. He's thrown into his family, and he's not really wanted because he's given this menial job to take care of the sheep, and the brothers are enjoying their life at a high level. And now he has to deal with reality. And so we're getting to that very shortly. Okay, so we're at number 6 now. And Moshe, you're next.
Can you
let me
roll it up?
Yeah, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
והוא כחתן יצא מחופתו, יסיס כגיבור לרוץ אורה.
Okay, so
who is like a groom coming forth from the chamber. The chamber, it's not chuppah, like a hero eager to run his course.
Okay, I mean, Moshe, what's happening here? What do you see happening? Okay, based upon what we're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like someone who bursts out to accomplish a mission or with the joy, okay? Yasis, it's a joy, ki gibor larutz ora.
Okay, so the word vahu, what does that pronoun refer to? Vahu kachatan. Who is the who?
Can you show me the
here,
the whole aretz?
Vahu chachatan yotzei mechupato.
Yes.
Yosis ki gibor larutz orach. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The who refers back to the sun, as I see it, and the sun is like a husband, a newborn husband, if you will, that is leaving his chuppah, leaving his holy matrimony. Okay, he's just been married, so to speak, and he's running forth with all this male vigor. Chupato yasis kagibor. He's a warrior. Okay, and so the sun is likened to Larutz to run his course. He begins at 5 a.m. in the morning, and he goes until 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. in the evening during summer. And this is a metaphor of impregnation of the universe, that God created the universe with the sun as being the primary luminary. We have many luminaries, okay, and the sun is is God's emissary to keep us alive, and we have to appreciate this. This is an amazing thing that, and we are just like the sun. And we're going to get here. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Just like the sun is the emissary of God to keep man in tune with the universe, listen to the stars, So we're coming to it very shortly. The Torah is God's manual for man to deal with man. Okay, so right, this first few through the 7th line, which is the next one, we're dealing with man, like you say, Chanok, man is the center of the universe. Everything revolves around me, okay? And now we are like the sun. We are, we're full of ourselves. We're going out. We're going to propagate the earth. Everybody wants to do that. And there's no limit to the amount of energy that the sun has, because we know the sun was created to last billions of years. We take it for granted. Okay, so we're up to number 7, and we are back to, is it Hanoch? Go ahead, Hanoch. Number 7, Miktseh, yeah.
I will have to open a book, but I will try because I don't see it clearly on the screen.
You don't see it, okay.
בקצה השמיים מוצאו, ותקופתו על קצותם, ואין נסתר מחמתו. מחמתו, yes.
Okay, so, what he's saying here is Miktseh Hashema, from the edge of the, from the eastern skies, from the very horizon in the morning. He rises at one end of the heavens, and he does his tikkufa, he does his circuit across the sky, across the ohel, if you will, of the Shemayim, and he reaches the other end, which is night. Okay. And there's nothing that escapes his heat, because we subsist because of the sun. Sun keeps us alive in so many different levels that we take for granted. Okay. So,
Richard, it's interesting, this wording, ve'ein nistar michamato, synonymous for sun shel shemesh, ze chama. Chama is another word for the sun. So it's interesting how they use this synonym in this verse.
But chamato is also, you can also see it as, the heat of it.
Yes.
Chamato.
Yes.
We have chama. Anger is chema, but if you say it as an adjective, his so it comes his
well,
anger.
It's all related to something very hard.
Yeah. It's
all
carried away. I think that you can take this on a literal level, because there are days that we're now in Arizona. Out west, we got 110, 120 degree days where the earth is burning up. Okay, we know that. Here in the United States, forest fires coming from Canada, the smoke coming down here. There's no end to the Chama. Okay, and if man doesn't watch what he's doing, you'll get burned up like Icarus getting too close to the sun. In Greek mythology, he was so taken with himself, he wanted to, again, you can take this and relate it to the Babel, the Tower of Babel that man built. Man thought he could usurp God, basically. He kept building and building, he's to the Shemayim. Take those skyscrapers. Man is in control of everything, okay? And this is implied here. The first 7 lines are man in nature. Nature can go both ways. Nature can inspire man to a higher level to understand why who's behind this, or nature can make man and turn man into a self-defeating, egotistical maniac, okay? But that's implied here. I'm not saying that's what David had in mind, but it's implied, because the next sentence abruptly changes from this beautiful, magnificent universe of man being, it's all for man, this great skies and the heavens and the sun and the moon and the symphony of the stars. And all of a sudden, we're into, and I'll do one. It's time for me to do one. Okay, so number 8, Torah Adonai Tamima. Mishivat Nefesh, Edut Adonai Ne'emana Mechamat Peti. Okay. All right. So all of a sudden, and people, I looked at the paper sheet, and people say, oh, this is a totally different writer. No, I mean, but this is one writer as I see it. that gets to the point that, he says, all right, I've had it. I'm full of this, but I got to live with my fellow man. And look what I've done to thwart your purpose for me. You made me this king, and look what I've done. I'm an embarrassment to you, because look what I did with sending Uriel to war and then deflowering his wife Bathsheba. Okay, so Torah and me, the Torah is truthful. It is pure. It's perfect. Okay. Mishivat nafesh. It restores your soul. Okay.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it's refreshing. Okay. Just like the sun is refreshing, this is the analogy is God creates the sun, a luminary, a lesser being than Hashem. And so the Torah is it's a moral code. And you've got man down here that is trying to live a happy life. He needs a signpost. He needs guidelines. He needs a master plan. Okay. And so this is God's master plan. It's pure. It restores your soul. And that's what the Sabbath does in many ways for people that observe it. And I'm not 100% Sabbath observer, but we do with my partner, we do observe the Sabbath as best as we can, and it's very refreshing. It's very refreshing, and takes me. I get dressed up, whatever, and I feel like a different person. Okay, and so that the Torah is an edut Adonai. It's a testimony of God. That's God's, by man observing the precepts of the Torah, you're showing your faith in God. So it's God's testimony as the universe and the sun, the stars, and he's given you the Torah too. So you've got all these different guideposts to living a faithful life. Now, I find this beautiful. Machkimat peti. Making the simple wise. That man is born, he has no knowledge. He has no knowledge. He needs education. So what better way for the Torah is the educator's manual, and that turns simple people that know very little. You send them to yeshiva. You send them to a Hebrew day school. You send them to a Sabbath school, whatever your level of education is, and it restores you. Okay, that's one of the reasons I chose this poem, because it's a very refreshing poem for me. Okay, I have more comments on this. Let's see, do I have? I have here that God fortifies nature with restorative powers. He does this through his Torah instruction. Okay. All right, so this is it. It restores man's soul. That's it. We know we have a soul more than just material accomplishments, building Babel type structures, so to speak, metaphor of materialism dominating our life. And so there's this Torah, which is a greater spiritual force. Okay. All right, now we're up to number 9. And whose turn is it now? Is it, are we back to Helene? Number 9, can you read it, Helene?
Yeah, it's a little clearer now.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yerat Adonai Meho.
No, here, Pikudei.
Torah.
Pikudei.
What?
Yeah, do you see where my pointer is here? It's in the blue background here. Pikudei Adonai. Do you see it?
Why is it not opening? Is where you are?
Yeah, it's where I am, right here. It's right at the top of the screen. Go ahead.
I tap it, it disappears. I'm sorry for.
So you're screen issues. Okay. All right. I'll read it.
Oh yeah.
You want me to read it? I'll read it.
No. Yerat Adonai Meho Ra Omedet Laad.
No. Okay. I'm sorry. Pikudei. I for some reason. Okay. Pikudei, the one that's at the top. Yeah.
Likudei.
Yeah, you see it.
Yeah. Before that, prior. Likudei Adonai Yesharim Mish Lahei Lev Mitzavat Adonai Bara Ma'ira Einayim.
Einayim. You know what Einayim are?
No, yeah, eyes.
Eyes. Okay, sorry. So we're talking about light because the eyes see light, of obviously, and this is a poem about light, God's light, if you will, shining from the sun, and beyond the sun. You can't live by sun alone. You heard that expression? Man has to live by bread, and another word for Torah is bread. They said ki lekach tov. Yashar Adonai. So the Pekudei Adonai referred to the precepts of God. Some of them we understand, some we don't understand. Chukim are ones that were beyond our understanding, but some we understand. Mesamech, misamchai lev. Again, the idea of sason, it rejoices your heart, okay? And bara meirat, the instruction of God, mitzvah Adonai, the instruction, not every mitzvah, but the idea of Torah, studying the higher purpose, is lucid, is clear, okay, making the eyes light up. So what he's saying here is that Torah is your sun. I created the sun to keep you alive. Now that you're alive, you can't live in nature by yourself. I'm giving you the manual to light up your life. It's clear. If you follow this, you can't go wrong. That's what he's saying. Your lives will be lit up with the type of light that I want you to have. So this is it's spiritual, metaphorical, and metaphysical. It's very metaphysical poetry here. It's I can see why Chabadniks like this kind of stuff. Okay, anybody have any comments here about this?
Yeah, Richard, now the sentences, I don't know if it will go on,
yeah,
but at least the last two ones, every sentence is divided by two. Each part is the same in different words.
Okay.
Let us say Torah Adonai.
Cool. Go ahead, read the
For
next
example,
one.
Torah Adonai Tmima Meshuvat Nefesh. It means the Torah of Hashem is very innocent and rejoicing.
Yeah.
And now the same thing, Edut Adonai.
Sure.
It means it is also it is literally testimony, but also the Torah. Edut Adonai, the Torah, Ne'emana, is very trustful. Machkimat Peti. It means is as we say, it makes the simple better educated. Now this one also, Pikudei Adonai Yesharim Mesamchei Lev. It means Pikudei is like Kudot. The commands of God are clear and heart rejoicing. Now the second part, the same thing, Mitzvat Adonai, which is the synonym to Pikudei Adonai. Bara Meirat Einaim. Bara is pure, clean, and Meirat Einaim, eye opening.
Good. Now do the next one. You're on a roll. Go ahead.
Okay. יראת אדוני טהורה עומדת לעד, משפטי אדוני אמת, צדקו יחד.
Yirat Adonai. Now I find this interesting because Yirat Adonai refers to the first 7 lines as well as it refers to the 8th line to the 11th line. Just like the sun, the stars, the moon, it creates an awe in man. Okay. And similar, he's saying here is that the Torah, the instruction of Torah, also puts us in awe. Okay, if we follow the Torah, and God will take care of you in His own way, you will be enlightened. Okay, and it's pure; it abides forever. And again, he says the judgments, Mishpatei Adonai. I've seen this refers to man to man, all the mishpatim in the Torah. There are so many laws about how to treat your fellow man, not just treat him like yourself, but how to treat him. You know, you see him, his donkey is carrying too much of a load. You help him with his donkey. Okay, you have a servant working for you. You pay him right immediately. Don't let him wait till the next day to give him his due earning. Okay, so Mishpatei Adonai emet tzadko yachad. The judgments of the Lord are true. If you follow these simple judgments I'm giving you here, you too will be at a level of you'll be like a tzaddik. Okay, no one is a pure tzaddik. Come on, I mean, no one can live this tzaddik life
feel,
we all make mistakes, okay? Go ahead.
Richard, I feel it's more instilling and inculcating security to make one feel secure, to make one feel, that they're strong day to day.
Yes,
Right.
I totally agree. I agree, absolutely. If you have a parent who is a teacher and teaches you, I mean, how much more secure can you be? The Torah is a teacher, but not every parent is a teacher of Torah. But if you just follow these guidelines, every day is going to be a beautiful day for you, potentially. Okay, everything's potential. God throws all kinds of obstacles at you, and we're faced with man-to-man hatreds that are unbelievable. Jew to Jew, Jew to Christian, Jew to Muslim, Muslim to Muslim. I mean, there's no end to this, okay? But if we all come out, get on the same wavelength, okay, the same precepts, we're going to come out. We're going to be together. I like the word yachtav. We'll be, humanity will take care of itself, man to man. That's what he's talking about here. I find the next line, I know we're getting close to an hour. I want to wind this up. Hanechmadim mizahav mipaz rav, mutukim midevash vinofat tsofim. Okay. The more desirable, nechmad, somebody who is nechmad, someone who is a beautiful person, someone who has great characteristics, okay? And
he relates to what is talked about before. It means nechmadim, all the Torah Hashem and the Edut Hashem and Pikudei Hashem.
Exactly.
This is the nechmadim, and now again you have a double repeating description. Nechmadim mizahav. They are better than gold, and
pure gold, and pure gold. I mean, there are different levels. There's 14 karat and there's 24 karat. So, hey, if you think you're happy with 14, what about if you get 24? And maybe there's a 40 karat gold. Will you ever be satisfied with your level of gold? That's implied here. And what he's saying is sweeter than honey. We know that honey, if you have too much of a good thing, you get satiated. Okay, so, but with Torah, there's no end to the amount of learning, the level of sophistication that you can interpret people like Helene, to see the level of interpretation, the level of insight that people have to taking care of other people, like Helene is a caregiver. I come from generations of caregivers, There's no end to it, to the idea of Torah, the idea of instruction. We can all be instructed. Where there's no one that's purer than whoever created us. I mean, that's the pure source. Okay, and so what he's saying here is that don't get too taken with yourself, because there's something beyond just material riches. There's the drippings of the comb. That's the wisdom of Torah, if you will. Okay. And I'm going to, because we're getting close to an hour, and Gam Abdecha Nizhar Bahem Bishomam Ekev Rav. This is beautiful. He says, your servant, that refers to man, David, who he's writing, pays them heed. Now, it's not enough pays them heed. There's a hazhara here. There's a warning. What he's basically saying here is, you are, by the precepts of Torah, you are warned. There are many negative commandments, like David. You should not covet your friend's wife, a married woman. Okay, so you have to restrain yourself from temptations. That's what he's saying here. Ekev Rav, in obeying him, there is much reward. There is a proverb which is so true that I'm bringing up right now. It should be on your screen. It's Proverbs 22, okay, number 4. Okay, so here's number 4. Okay, and it's Akev, okay. Now, the word Akev is in this sentence I just ran. It says, Gam Avdecha Nizhar, you should be warned by them. In other words, the restrictions, follow them. And b'shamam ekev ra, because when you observe these precepts, ekev, because of them, you will have abundance. Okay, and so the rabbis, the writer of this beautiful psalm, Proverb 22, says basically, number 4, ekev, because you are anava, because you are humble, you have the fear of God, okay? And because you are humble, that's what this poem is pointing to. Get rid of the fact that your universe is created for you. You were created to follow God's precepts in the universe. So if you are humble, and we know Moses was the most humble of men, okay, you will have the fear of God will be with you. You'll be in awe. You will have osher. Osher means wealth. You will have honor,
Yes.
and you will have life. I mean, that's a beautiful uh, uh, shall we say, anybody have any comment about that? Okay, because this was the most important, shall we say, connection to other scripture that I wanted to share with you. More connection, but this one particularly, because David became the most humble of God's. The only way he could become king, anointed, and of course God appointed him and knew that his life would be one of nothing but trials, running away, and his son trying to kill him, and having to kill his son. I mean, what a life that David lived in constant running from Saul. Saul wanted to kill him all the time, and yet he came away with this humble man. He got wealth, and he had kavod, but of course he could not build the temple that was given to his son because he sinned. And that was it. Okay. And let me just finish up here, going back to the psalm. Okay. So we did finish this one. Okay. And now we're on to 13. Now we're talking about his prayer to God. The last 3 lines are very beautifully presented. Shkiot miyavin. Who can be aware of errors? I mean, man makes many errors. We do it unconsciously. We offend people. Holding knows that. We offend people unconsciously. We had no idea we hurt people with words. Okay, words, lashon hara. Ministerot nakeni. From those deeds that I thought I was doing good, that are really hidden because they are negative deeds. I did not follow. Clear me of them. Wipe up my soul. That's what David went to such great lengths to pray to God and wear sackcloth. Okay, go into sackcloth, become a hermit for a while. Okay, mizedim from the intentional sins. Okay, keep me from them. Okay, keep me. I'm your humble servant. Al yimshalu bi. Don't let them rule me. All these passions that I have for women. Okay. We know his son took it to the next level of his passions for women. Okay. Oz etam v'niketi, so that from them I will be wiped clean of these sins. Umi pesha. Pesha is the worst type of sinning, where you are just brazenly sinful. Okay. Which David was and save me from many of these grave offenses. Now, the poem ends with a line that becomes part of the Amidah, which we recite 3 times a day. Yehi l'ratzon imri pi, may the words of my mouth, okay, and the prayer of my only be the prayer of my heart in front of you. I'm your humble servant, God. Suri V'goale, be acceptable to you, O Lord, my rock and redeemer. You may remember that from, this is the line that is said at the end of the Amidah, the 18 benedictions, before you talk about God, protect me from the evil of others, okay? And this line is in there. So this poem, in summary, is a magnificent poem, and my humble, and again, I mean, I react to this having read it, thought about it, and experienced so much in life with 4 marriages and various family disputes and legal matters that go on and on. But I can relate to this. That he's saying, "Look, God, I'm the most humble. I'm humble of your servants because you taught me If it wasn't for you, I would never be made king. And if it wasn't for you, I would never have sinned. You created me to show the method to turn from my being egotistical down here on earth to looking up to you and realizing that man is not the center of the universe, that man is just put here in order to follow an instruction that from the Torah. Follow the precepts of Torah, you'll be okay. Okay. So that is basically the reason I chose it, because it does bring a lot of comfort to me to know that King David, along with Abraham and Moses, all our great leaders, went through so many trials and tribulations, and they came out ahead because they learned the precepts of Torah, that they realized that God gave us a manual for living down here, a blueprint to build our life. And that's basically why this poem, to me, number 19, is amongst maybe 10 or 12 Psalms that are read on the Sabbath morning service. Any comments? Because I know I've tried to finish up here an hour. Go ahead.
My comment is this is a good platform, from home, and it really works. And
well, I'm glad to hear that.
Joined.
I'm glad to hear that.
I really did. I'm sorry I have to move on, but
no, I appreciate your coming, and I know you come in person, and I apologize. The internet is working for us today,
but it was a good platform. It really a lot.
I'm happy that it's working out, and I'd be glad to continue in the future. I'm not sure what we'll be doing next month. I go in for a procedure the end of this month. I've had many of them with the same doctor, and I should be okay. I'm going to be stuck for about 2 weeks in recovery, but I've been through it, and I have confidence that in my caregivers, and of course the ultimate caregiver, that I'm going to be okay. But I'm not sure where we're going to be in February, but I will keep you guys posted. And if I can do it from home, I'd be glad to do it from home. Although I like serving lunch for everyone.
We're here for you.
Well, thank you very much for coming, everybody. For showing up.
Richard, okay. All the best to you. All the best to you. And that's בהצלחה. Good luck.
Yeah, okay. Chanel, for waking Chanel, I want you to know that I set my alarm clock, and my alarm clock went off just when you called me, and that because I sleep 3 hours here, 3 hours there, and I got a little nap in before the class, but I had it all set up, and I'm glad you came, Chanok. You elevated your comments, always elevate us, and Helene and Mike, Moshe, you guys all bring your experience.
You're so complimentary, Richard. Yeah. An unusual characteristic. Most people.
Okay, Richard, תהיה בריא.
Yeah, תהיה בריא. גם לכם, yeah. שבוע טוב. Bye.
Shalom.
שבוע טוב, yeah.